Well, this is the first time I've ever done an interview, so this will be interesting. I am Sam Jacobs, interviewing Mikey Bee and
Jerry Wilson.
Jerry Wilson. Didn't know your last name, Jerry.
Sorry. Credits.
But figured you guys can do your own introductions.
Okay, you want to start since you're on that side?
Right, I'm on this side, so this is the starting side.
Alright.
Jerry Wilson.
And I'm... Oh, sorry.
Of Super Hive.
And I am Mikey Bee of the same organization.
So, what prompted you guys to start Super Hive Productions?
Well, it all started with our desire to be creative, make films and stuff. We used to always make films, like... Jerry stayed with me for a while back when he was really little, and to pass the time we had an older camera. We would go to the basement, film like, you know, fight scenes with like action figures and stuff like that. You know, pretty soon that camera broke, you know, and then you know, after time went on, I got another camera, and he came over and we put our heads together and we decided, you know, we'd like to make videos.
We did other stuff with other members of our family, older projects which were live action, like people, not action figures.
Right, we didn't always just do action figures. Yeah, we had other things going too, but yeah, then he came up with the idea for Flesh Freak, and then we just rolled with that. And before too long, I was like, well, I would like to have some sort of production company name attached to this, so it wasn't just like, you know, Mike's little video or whatever. So it felt more official to us. And so we kind of started thinking about names for a while, and eventually it came down to Super Hive Productions. And
okay.
That's where we are now.
Now, I'll get back to the name in a second,
okay.
But Jerry said you came up with Flesh Freak. How did that come about?
Well, I was really interested in horror movies at the time, and my interest for horror movies led me to watch a movie called Blood Freak, which it's pretty much almost directly based off of that movie, which is about a guy who experiments with drugs and hallucinogenic turkey and wakes up with a turkey head.
Oh.
And decides he needs to kill people to feed, sort of like a vampiric turkey monster kind of thing. So I decided I want to do my own kind of version of that. It'd be different because I had this alligator mask that was sitting at my house, and I thought, well, you know, the effects in that movie was terrible anyway, so I figured it couldn't be much worse if I did it myself, and we had fun with it, and yeah, I think it was
you told me we came up with like a list of like 10 ideas right away one day, and Flesh Freak was on the top of that list. I've never seen this movie Blood Freak before in my life. And I was like, well, maybe, I don't know if I want to do this, but then eventually it seemed like a really easy thing to do, so we went ahead and just went ahead and filmed like the very first scenes where I'm sitting on the bench and he approaches me and stuff like that, and we thought, okay, that's kind of funny, and then things just kind of fell into place after that.
Alright. Now going back to the Super Hive Productions, how exactly did you get the name for that?
Well, there's a list out there somewhere where there's like a bunch of different names everywhere. Like there's a combination of our names. That was like one idea. There's many other ideas, but the Hive idea just kind of struck me. Like, well, this nickname Mikey Bee started to become popular. Started with pretty much Isaiah Maurer called me that, and then other people that know him and know me started calling me that too. So I started to connect, and then I know someone that would call me that, but you know, they would spell it out like with 2 E's, like a bee. And so I'm like, well, if I am like a bee, let me be the king bee, and let everyone else be the drone bees. And so I'm thinking like a hive. A hive is kind of cool, even though personally I don't like bees, but you know, when it comes to like a hive, you know, they all work together, and I wanted people to work together on films and stuff. So that's where the name came from, the hive part of it. Then the super part was just like, you know, growing up, you know, I grew up with a Super Nintendo, so everything was like Super Mario, Super Metroid, everything was super this, super that. So it's super to be super, so I decided we should be a Super Hive Productions.
Alright. Now, seeing Sleaze King, which we can get to in a minute, but seeing Flesh Freak 2, the soon-to-be premiering tonight, actually, Dr. Schwelling Science is Forever, which everybody's going to be here for and very excited for. But seeing Sleaze King and everything, one of the things that I've noticed is, obviously, I mean, the Flesh Freak movies, I mean, they're as violent as you can kind of make them at the time, with the materials you have. Very creative. But one thing I've noticed is there's not a lot of swearing and vulgarity and stuff like that. Is there a reason that you don't do that, or you just...
Well, me personally, I don't really like to swear. I like to keep things a little bit family friendly. There's definitely some violence in Flesh Freak, and I know that you like the violent things a little bit more than I do. Yeah, you like things. If Flesh Freak could rip a guy in half and blood spray everywhere,
right? That would be the department I'm in.
And so I'm
the bloody department.
So I'm not really into that. So we kind of balance each other out on that one. But yeah, there's not that many like lewd acts or whatever. There's a conscious effort to stay away from that. There's also just my personality doesn't really allow me to go there, I guess. But I'd like it. If people enjoyed these things, there are certain things that I do feel like they're gray areas. They're kind of weird, So I feel like maybe we aren't like super family friendly on some of these things, but
we're borderline family friendly.
We're borderline. Yeah, I mean, you could watch some of these things with kids, but I mean some elements of definitely like the Flesh Freak movies, like the Flesh Feast and stuff like that, where I was showing someone Flesh Freak 2 and she's like, "Oh, is that a baby's head? Ew!" So yeah, there's a few gross up moments.
I was just watching Flesh Freak 2 and last night actually, and I know we're gonna be watching it again tonight, but I can't get enough. But in my opinion, I feel like it's superior for a few reasons. But one of them being story, but the other one, I felt like the special effects for like the dismembered body parts or any of the choreography and the fight scenes or whatever, I felt like it was a step up from the first one. And the first one is just a classic already. But do you guys think that your production value and all that stuff is getting higher?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's what we strive for, is to slowly make it better.
Yeah, we always we look at what we've done before. We try to go
it's trial and error.
Trial and error. Yeah.
You improve your methods.
Right.
Seeing what works best.
Do you get more creative as it goes on?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's we see something that's just not working, we'll try something else. We're willing to experiment with other sort of effects or whatever. We're always on the lookout for like new props and other things like that. We realize, hey, this is a plastic foot. It doesn't look super realistic, but it's okay. It gets.
We do what we can to make it look more realistic. Right. And Flesh Freak 3, I want to be even more so than Flesh Freak 2 was than 1. I want it to be 3 times that, and I want it to be as realistic as possible, as much as I can make it. So.
Nice. That's awesome. Like you guys are just continuing to strive.
Right.
Now you were talking a little bit ago about your personality and making the movies clean or borderline clean, as you guys were saying. And you're talking about your personality. Now I believe that certain personality traits were also put into the Sleaze King, and that was Jerry's personality, from what I understand. That a lot of that character is based on you. Can you tell us about the Sleaze King?
Yeah. Well, the Sleaze King basically is me. In my hunt for sleazy movies of the 70s and 80s, horror flicks mostly, and sleazy can sometimes be the term sleaze. We don't really use it as like for pornographic films, and that's what I think a lot of people think it's used at. I mean, there's movies that show that, but that's not really the type of movie that I'm going for. I'm going for more like the slasher picks, or if you've ever seen the movie Blood Freak, or House by the Cemetery, or just a movie where a monster goes around ripping people's guts up and stuff like that. That's the kind of
good old-fashioned monster movie.
Yeah, a movie like that is basically what the Sleaze King strives for. He strives to find the sleaziest of gore movies, and that's what I was actually doing at the time of the Sleaze King. So it was basically almost like a documentary of my life, trying to find these sleazy movies and how rare they were, from not so rare to just as rare. And that's the kind of adventures Sleaze King and Skeeter would get into.
Yeah, I saw.
So it's kind of like a reflection of myself and during that period.
Yeah, whenever I would visit him at his house, he'd always watch a sleazy movie, be in the middle of some sort of sleaze fest, and he would turn around and say, "Yeah, that was great. The guy got his head chopped off. That was good. I like this." And it's like, if more gruesome, the better. And he just liked it. I'm like, what kind of guy would be into this? some sort of sleaze king, and that's just how that ball started rolling too.
Now, I know you guys have plans for Sleaze Team too, and I know we can get to that later on. But tonight we're premiering Dr. Schwelling Science is Forever. So, the Dr. Schwelling character, he was in the Flash Freak 1, but he was in it for a 2 or 3 minute scene. He wasn't in it for very long at all. Can you tell me how that character has started and then just evolved from there to become now getting his own movie?
Well, he started because there was a doctor character in the Blood Freak movie, right?
Yeah, well, there were several different characters that acted as doctors in the Blood Freak movie, and none of them were as established as what your character
Dr.
was.
Schwelling, but
I was just like, well, we can't afford to have like 3 or 4 doctors just in this
kind of
Flash Freak movie because that would be confusing. So I'm like, well, how about there's just one doctor?
Right.
Richard Dennison needed someone where, you know, he just needed to make some money, so he's willing to be a guinea pig. Dr. Schwelling needed a guinea pig, was willing to pay him, $25 to be a guinea
Starting
pig.
200, ending 25.
It's a good relationship there, but yeah, the character, had a very unique look to him, a very unique speaking style, and the character just really took a life of its own. People really liked him and wanted to see more of him, so it turned out to be like a 3-minute thing. And I agree. When we first made it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this character for like a few minutes, then it'll be done. But then in Flash Freak 2, people were like, I really love Dr. Schwelling, so we had to bring him back. And it wasn't just we brought him back. Originally, it was supposed to be just bring him back at the end. But as time went on, it was like, well, I think we need to see more of him because there was more demand. So we put him more in there. And since he's more in Flash Freak 2, people wanted to see his own movie, so...
I remember watching Flash Freak 1 and just watching the movie and finding out that you played Dr. Schwelling and you guys were like the head of it. And I immediately told my roommate now, Chris, that I had to be part of the productions. And so I've been in a few productions, but they're all nothing's as good as the originals that you guys have been putting out, and we're all enjoying those. So tell us about the Dr. Schwelling movie, Dr. Schwelling Science is Forever, that is premiering tonight. Can you tell it? Now, obviously this interview is going to be post the premiere. Right. I'm assuming that you're going to upload it, so I think you can probably tell us, and we have a few people in the room that we can kick out if we needed to. But if you guys are willing to talk about it and maybe give us a few little spoilers.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We won't get into any deep spoilers here, but the Dr. Schwelling storyline was kind of a hard one to come up with because he can go anywhere. I kind of knew that it would be a prequel of sorts because I just imagined him to be an older guy, older than me, like in his 40s or something. So he probably has a long history of what he does, right? So, but eventually down the road, things started to kind of click. We made mention of Mexico in Flash Freak 2, and that was your idea. I don't know, I think that was one thing you said it would be funny if he couldn't go back to Mexico. So we had him say it in Flash Freak 2. But I realized that had to have some sort of meaning. So the movie kind of starts off with him in Mexico on the border in like present day, like post Flash Freak 2. There he is, he's on the border getting interrogated. Why are you trying to sneak into Mexico? Then his story unravels. This is what happened to me. This is how I grew up. You see him with his father. You see him with his brother. You see him in other arenas in his life, and he joins a group of other scientists. So we couldn't do the 3 doctors or the 4 doctors or whatever in Flash Freak 1, but in this one we have multiple scientists. And
does this group of scientists have a name?
They do. Their name is the Scientific Allegiance of Rogue Scientists, also known as SARS.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so they are not bound by ethics or morality. They'll experiment on humans, on animals, whatever. They'll steal medicine from old ladies. They don't care. And that will lead Dr. Schwelling to do something that's completely unethical, and that's try to bring someone back from the dead, bring them back to life. Because who wouldn't want to bring back a loved one? Grandpa, grandma, the mailman, whoever's your loved one that's passed away. And eventually that leads him down to Mexico, and this is part of the unraveling story of why he went there and why he's coming back, and so on and so on. So, the rest of it, I don't want to tell any more of the plot, but that's a good chunk there. We'll see how that develops later tonight.
All right. Okay, well, we all look forward to it. There's a lot. If you're watching all the movies, you recognize a lot of familiar faces from movie to movie. Some characters are there in one movie, then they die, but then you see that face again, but they're a completely different character. You think that's just one of the charms of Super Hive Productions, that it just will carry over certain actors to play different characters, or do you try and change their look as much as possible to give them a completely different identity?
That's a good question. I think that there's a certain charm to it. Definitely, I'm working with a limited number of people that are like there's a top 10 list or pretty much of people that I like to use. I mean, you are one of them. Chris is one of them. There's a lot of people I like to use, and I'm always trying to bring in new people. I try not to repeat people, especially if they die or something like that, or if they have like a really like strong character. Like I wanted Chris really bad to be in the Dr. Schwelling movie, but he wasn't really in it because he plays Inspector Longfellow, and I didn't want Inspector Longfellow to be in this movie as that character. So it's kind of hard. If I put Chris in there, I think people would recognize him as Longfellow and say, hey, isn't that guy or whatever? And you're right, he started off as the cop in Flesh Freak 1, then he went to be Longfellow. But I'm hoping people kind of distance themselves from that and say, you know, that was that guy. That guy was wearing a blue shirt. This guy's wearing a hat. Maybe, but there's. What do you think? What's your answer to this question?
I think we try to change up their look as much as possible. But like you said, we're only working with a certain number of people most of the time.
And we like people that we can rely on. There's other people I've tried to get involved, and you know, either their schedule's too hectic or they're just
we've been getting
flaky.
a few more people involved, but just in smaller parts because we don't know if they'll necessarily work out well for the character we designed them for. But I think more so now than ever than when we begun, we have a lot more people involved. So we try to fluctuate at that as much as possible.
Alright. Switching back to the Dr. Schwelling character, there's some pretty recognizable characteristics about him. His black coat that he wears, lab coat instead of a white one, which is traditional for scientists, but his black one. But primarily, the mustache is pretty recognizable and pretty remarkable. Now, can you tell us the story behind that one?
The mustache. Well, that was every piece of characteristic that is Dr. Schwelling's actually comes from Jerry. He had the coat, he had the mustache laying around. And it all really started with my one character that was the bench sitter in Flesh Freak 1. And to kind of differentiate myself from that character, like the Dr. Schwelling character, he's like, well, we need a mustache or something for him. And you just happen to have one laying around, right? Right.
He asked me for if I had a lab coat or anything that would make his character more identifiable. So I was like, well, I had this mustache lying around and also this coat just lying around, and I borrowed your green jacket that Flesh Freak wore in the first one.
That's right.
So his green jacket was mine in the movie, and then my black jacket that is Dr. Schwelling's lab coat and his mustache came from me.
Okay.
So, and he just took those and he probably just looked in the mirror and was like, I am Dr. Schwelling.
I am Dr. Schwelling.
I do science. And that's how his character was born, probably.
Well, it's very identifiable. I mean, everybody can... I mean, ones that know the whole Super Hive Productions, they see Schwelling and they go, that's my kind of guy.
Yeah, I hope so.
Now, because I was there, I know that there was an incident on set one day. Do you mind opening up to us about that?
You're talking about the mustache incident?
The mustache incident, yes.
It's so traumatic. Okay, so, as you'll see in this film, Dr. Schwelling, he has some father issues. He's with his father. And while we're filming on the river, both Sam and I, we fell in. Both of our mustaches fell right off, washed down the river, which led us to, we had to get new ones. Now Sam's was, you know, kind of a straightforward mustache, and I mean, it's supposed to go down, but he tilted it up, you know, so his was more replaceable. Mine unfortunately, is not. I did a lot of research. It's basically a funky face disguise, gumball machine. It's actually supposed to be a beard for a child, and it was like this Johnny Depp looking like thing, but I use that as a mustache. And those gumball machines, they are hard to find. They're harder to find than a Zoltar machine.
Oh man, Zoltar machines are hard to find.
Exactly. But I found a Fu Manchu on eBay, and tried to make it work. I tried to alter it as much as I could. You'll see in a few shots it doesn't look quite right. I apologize for that. For Dr. Schwelling 2, I plan on creating my own new mustache that resembles the old one.
Well, you're a pretty creative guy. I think you can do that.
Thank you.
I was out and about today. I went to Meijer and I found a gumball machine. And I happened
Oh man!
to get this.
What? How did this happen? Oh,
Took me a few quarters, but
what a wicked surprise!
it's back.
It's back! Oh, the Dr. Schwelling stash is back! It is back!
I'm gonna try it on to make sure it fits.
Oh, it fits. I don't want to waste the sticky. Oh man! Oh, it looks so good. Oh, Sam, how can I ever repay you?
Well, just continue making wonderful Super Hive productions.
Oh man, good thing I am making a second Dr. Schwelling movie. Oh man, this is good. This is excellent. This is beautiful.
But there
I feel
you go.
like hanging this on a wall. Like this belongs in a museum somewhere. Oh man. Well, thank you.
Yes, but I was so happy when I got that too, because I was having a kind of an annoying day this morning. Then I finally opened it up and my day got better. And I was like, yes, this is gonna make the day even better than it's already gonna be with Dr. Schwelling. Science is Forever tonight. Since it's a good segue, you were talking about Dr. Schwelling 2. Let's just go ahead and talk about future productions of what you can tell us anyway. Because in the past you guys have hinted and given us a few teasers of projects that haven't quite been started yet, have a little bit done yet. Do you want to go ahead and tell us about some of your guys' future projects?
Oh,
Well,
the probably next upcoming project we're going to be working on is Sleaze King 2.
Alright.
And then probably Flesh Freak 3, which I've said I want it to be even 3 times as good as the original or Flesh Freak 2.
right, those two are safe bets. You know, I think Super Hive fans, you know, expect sequels from both of those. So that's definitely not, you know, giving out any spoilers. And we've already worked on a little bit of Sleaze King 2. We've got the story, kind of the basics down, and we're recruiting characters and actors and stuff.
Yeah, that one's in pre-production right now.
Yeah, you guys got a pretty good story for that, obviously. I just assume you guys have good stories. But you guys got a story for that, so that's good. Talking about Sleaze King 2.
Right.
How's that coming along? I am privy to a few bits of information. Obviously, I don't know everything, but I am privy to a few bits. Can you give us any kind of summary of what we're to expect in the next one?
Well, I just want to say, without giving anything away, it's putting the Sleaze King through his paces. It's putting him to the test. So basically, he's going to be challenged on not only his level of sleaziness, but his someone's going to challenge his morality and the values of sleaze and stuff, and he's going to have challengers from all sides. He's going to become
People are going to be trying to take his title.
Yeah.
He's a Sleaze King.
Right.
But others think they can
They want to knock him off the throne.
Take his crown.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah, and so he gets it from all angles, and you know, there may be a little bit of tension there between Skeeter and Sleaze King too.
Oh no, not Skeeter.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some tension. There's maybe some moments there between the two of them. They're like less than friendly, so we'll have to find out and see. But definitely, and again, it's just like Sleaze King 1. It would be kind of based on our own experiences and stuff. So. There's going to be an element in there that's based on some of our experiences in real life, together and separately. Yeah.
All right. Anything you guys would like to say to the fans that follow you guys on YouTube?
Fans that follow us on YouTube, fans that buy our DVDs, fans that follow us on Twitter or Instagram or wherever you follow us, fans. thank you. Thank you for being a fan. Thank you for being a friend. He likes it.
Yep.
I like it. I agree. We like you for liking us. We'd like you anyway, but thanks for liking us, and thank you for being a part of it. Everything that we do is in response to what people give us input, people support us, people cheer us on. We would still do it to some capacity if we didn't have any fans. But I think right now it's the fans that really drive us. It's we take their input, we hear...
It's the support that drives us to make it better.
Yeah.
And as you see, it slowly gets better. That's because of the support of the fans.
Yeah, and we hear story ideas from people all the time, and we take that into consideration. We implement it into our creations. Sometimes we can't use every idea, but like there's little ideas here and there that we definitely try to put in there that fans come up with. Big story ideas for completely new movies or new miniseries or whatever. Those we take those ideas into account, and we'll do those someday maybe, and we just love that people like what we do. It's really humbling, and it's it touches me and it makes me feel happy, and I've never had this much support before. Okay. So yeah.
Well, some semi-unrelated question. We're just going to ask you some random questions now.
Oh, cool. I'm all for that.
Jerry, out of everything you guys have done so far, because I don't want any spoilers, but out of everything you guys have done so far, who would, out of all the characters, who is your favorite character?
My favorite character... That's a good question, because there's a lot of them. And, I'm not sure. Probably the Sleaze King, and I don't mean that to sound like condescending to myself or anything like that, but he's just the one that's he's been on camera the most. Flesh Freak's not very much on camera the most, and everyone else is pretty sporadic and everything. I think his is the most solid character.
Most consistent?
Yeah, most consistent, yeah.
Okay.
Out of any of them so far, so.
Same question to you.
Same question to me? Okay. I agree with him. I really like the Sleaze King. He's... I don't know, he's just got a certain charm to him. I guess out of all the characters that I've done, my favorite one, I guess, maybe would have to be the Punisher. Just because, those talking back, back in the day, back in the early 2000s and stuff, when we were in the basement and doing action figure related movies and stuff, the Punisher was one of them, and we made maybe 40-some videos or something.
Oh wow!
Starring that guy with that voice and his antics.
Do you ever plan to release those to the public?
They are pretty much released to the public. There's a separate YouTube channel that I made back in the day where they're all up there.
I did not know about this.
I was very embarrassed back in the day to even, let people know, because I thought people would be like, oh, it's action figures and it's weird and stuff. But I've come to a point where it's like, well, it's part of the history. So there's a few people that have seen these videos. I know Chris Mitchell's seen a few of them. But if you want to check out Superhero Mike, that's the YouTube channel, Superhero Mike.
Superhero Mike.
Yep, there's a lot. There's 200 videos.
Great Warriors of the Universe.
Great Warriors of the Universe.
I'll have to check that out.
Or you can just type in, Superhero Mike, and if you type into the search bar, like Punisher or something like that, all those videos should pop up. There's a lot of other types of videos on there too, so it's not just all him, but there's tons of Punisher videos. So that's where I got the idea to run around and do things like that, and yeah, so that's probably got to be one of my favorite ones. I like Skeeter a little bit. They all kind of take personality traits from myself. In some ways I am kind of like Skeeter, in some ways I am kind of like Dr. Schwelling. Dr. Schwelling definitely has been the most recognizable.
Are you trying to create an army of alligator men? Yeah. Crocodile men?
Crocodile.
Sorry.
Huh?
Are you trying to create an army of crocodile men? Is that like what you input into Dr. Schwelling, that you guys are similar in?
That's actually a separate plot for a movie you guys don't know about yet, where he creates an army of crocodile men to rule the world, and he controls them through telepathic waves.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's crazy. You heard it here first, everybody. Flesh Freak 4. Not the Final Freak. What has been your favorite production so far to do?
Flesh Freak 2 was pretty fun because I think after we did the first one, people started to jump on board and be more willing to do things, and we did a lot of fun things like, you know, fights in alleyways and things like that. And everything went pretty smooth with Flesh Freak 2. The other productions, there were some hang-ups. Like Sleaze King was fun to do too, but halfway through we didn't even really know the plot really. We were just shooting random stuff, and then we kind of discovered, okay, this is the plot, then this should happen, then this should happen. So the second half of the Sleaze King production, where we had Africo and Nick Tag and stuff like that, that was pretty fun. With the other movies like Dr. Schwelling, there's a lot of hang-ups. There's a lot of you know, things that just were out of my control or hardly in my control that just kind of got messed up or delayed or something. So it was kind of frustrating. But I think it was worth it though. But like, what do you say? What's your favorite production?
I'd say I think so too.
What,
for Flesh Freak 2? Yeah.
Flesh Freak 2.
Okay. Do you guys have any just like big Hollywood inspirations that you draw from, or that you admire?
Probably one of my Hollywood inspirations is Herschell Gordon Lewis, which I think I referenced him in Sleaze King. I'm not sure if I did or not.
I think I remember you talking about him, or I mean, the Sleaze King.
Yeah, the Sleaze King. I think I mentioned him in the Sleaze King. If not, he'll definitely be referenced as Sleaze King 2. But basically, his movies, I've seen a lot of his movies, and I try to adapt a lot of the things he's done into movies I want to make. He's made movies like Blood Feast, 2000 Maniacs, The Gore Girls. Just
good quality home family movies right there.
Well, movies, you know, everyone can enjoy.
Yeah.
Or that I certainly enjoy at least. And he's probably one of my bigger inspirations.
Okay.
And for me, well, of course, growing up in like the early 90s and stuff, I saw a lot of Steven Spielberg movies, and those have always been, you know, a foundation of inspiration. Recently, you know, things of J.J. Abrams kind of inspired me more as like filmmaker and stuff and production company and all that, because, you know, looking at what he does with Bad Robot, I'm like, you know, there's no reason why I can't make things. You know, like he started off kind of small and you know, has kind of a weird sounding production company name, but I'm like, you know, Super High Productions not like that far off from Bad Robot. So
and I know that J.J. Abrams started out making movies on a little Super 8 camera, which is what his movie Super 8 was a little bit of an homage to those kinds of movies, and so I see a lot of parallels between Super 8 Productions and Bad Robot and J.J. Abrams and you guys, and so I do see those, and those are pretty cool.
All right, cool.
That's one of the reasons I like being in it. I guess we'll finish up the interview with one last question. If you guys have anything to say to like young directors out there, or producers, or writers, or whatever, because you guys do everything. You guys do. I mean, you don't really use makeup, but makeup and special effects, and so you guys do a little bit of everything. So if you guys have anything to say to any, because you guys are still pretty young, but other young people or who want to break into the business.
It really just stems from passion, the passion to do it, the drive, the motivation, all that. Just, you know, you being really excited about what it is you want to do, and you know, the rest of it comes from experience. But you always have to do something once. So as soon as you do something once, you do it a second time, and then you improve your methods, and that's really how you take baby steps to becoming a better anything, really.
Yeah,
that's the way it is in life. But basically, it just comes from the drive to do it.
Okay.
Right, and I would add, you know, what he said was 100% right. It always takes a first step to do anything. You know, there's a lot of times where I'm pretty nervous to do something. There's times where, you know, I feel maybe even embarrassed to shoot something or act a certain way in front of the camera, and I always have this fear of what if someone doesn't like it? What if, you know, you just have to kind of do what you think is right, and you can hope that other people like it, but if they don't, you just have to keep on trying. I'd say just get out there and just do something. Find the time to do it. I understand a lot of people are busy, but if they have a passion to do anything, I'd say write it down, get these ideas going, and then by any means necessary, start making something. And I think the rest of it will fall into place.
All right. I did come up with one more question,
okay.
And this will be the last question. I swear.
No, totally.
A lot of the you guys are the writers of superhero production movies, essentially. But I do know that there isn't exactly a whole lot of writing, that like actual writing that goes on. A lot of it's ad lib. Do you guys prefer to do like the ad lib? But I mean, you know where you want a scene to go. Do you guys like doing all the ad lib, or do you prefer to have a little bit more direction and control over the scenes?
Well, I think we've got as actors or whatever, or as directing people to what they're supposed to be acting, have gotten a lot better at ad-libbing through experience, I think. But Mike usually writes down most of his scripts for especially in Dr. Schwelling. I remember he had a lot of scripts written down for stuff that he wanted people to say, and he's like, you can say pretty much whatever you want as long as it's kind of like within. I mean, you can say what you want as long as it sounds like this.
Right, it just got fits into like a certain frame.
There's key words you need and key phrases you need to say in this sentence, and you can say it any.
I remember doing a few takes like that where he's like, "No, you got to say it this way." Like, okay.
Yep. There's a few times where I write it down. Usually, it starts off with just like a simple idea, bullet points or whatever. Usually, it doesn't go too much further than that. With Dr. Schwelling, I want to make sure I got things straight because there's a lot of back and forth, flashbacks and stuff. And then I think that scripts help some people, like other actors. So I'll make a script and I'll give it to them so they can read and kind of memorize these lines and stuff. But I've noticed that sometimes, even myself, working from a script, I get so focused on what am I supposed to say, what is that exact line, that it kind of loses, some sort of meaning. When I'm ad-libbing, I can just kind of go off the cuff and do some stuff. But then, the reverse of that is sometimes I forget a line, forget what I'm supposed to say, forget, the certain gist of it. A good video to watch is the Jenkins file video that's online, where it's basically Trey and I taking like several different takes, and you can see us messing up a lot, but we didn't have a certain script. I just basically went up to him and I'm like, this is what we need to say. We need to say this, 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 and this, and we changed it. There's variations, but it all kind of sounds just about like the same. The only real difference is one time I told him, run, go find Flush Freak, run, and he's just like, okay, and that wasn't part of the script, but that's just where it went. And sometimes moments like that where you start saying stuff. We were recording a scene for Dr. Schwelling, and it was like I was talking about, or Isaiah was asking us, what is your dreams? And he's saying, like, I want to bring all the black holes together and all this stuff, and we're all talking about our scientific dreams. And I talk about mine. It was supposed to just cut at me saying, I want to find the cure for death. But then I'm like, I want to find the cure for death. Are you in with this? And you're like, oh, I don't want to do any oogie boogie stuff. And then we went down the line, and it was really great. Really inspirational, but the battery died halfway through, so we lost that take, and then we had to do workarounds and stuff. But sometimes those ad libs lead to a really great scene.
All right. Got any special thank yous before we're done?
Yes, I'd like to thank you, Sam Jacobs, for providing us with this facility of your humble abode. For this party, and just for we filmed here a whole bunch, and you were in it a whole bunch, and you put on a mustache and you helped us out. Chris Mitchell, he's a wonderful guy. He lives here too, and he lets us use his stuff, and and I just want to thank all the actors that were in it. Just plain simple, there's a lot of them were in Dr. Schwelling, so there's a lot of them to name. I just want special thanks to anyone that let me use anything of theirs, like Trey let me film inside his house, my friend Sarah let me film inside her house, James let me film inside his house twice.
Family who let us film inside their house, like my grandma in Flush Freak 2.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, so those
you actually let us enter. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really appreciative that, because we can't always shoot it at my house or his house or whatever. We need to switch it up, and I know that a house is a very personal space, and if you're bringing in a camera, it's kind of invasive. But I'm happy people let us do that, and I don't want to thank people that don't let us do that. What I mean by that is, there's been certain times, certain places and I'm talking about like corporate organizations that said no, you can't film here or whatever. They try to kick us out, or they give us the stink eye, or little old ladies on the side of the road that don't know what we're doing. I just want to say no thank you to them. They can mind their business. But, actually, I don't think I want that in the interview. That sounds mean-spirited.
Well, you get to edit it any way you want.
I'll cut that part out.
All right, guys. Thanks for the great interview. It was a pleasure.
Thank
Hope
you,
to do
Mr.
this again
Hand.
sometime.
Yeah.
Guess that's it.
That's it. Bye-bye.